Now that we have our baseline that we want to work with, let's cover some of the ways that you can use baselines for version management or going backwards, or use it to go forward by reusing baseline across different projects. We will start with version management, and the first functionality is to roll back the work items of the baseline to how they were when we created this baseline. Keep in mind you can either roll back the entire baseline or individual work items. The work item can be opened in the Smart View window with the rollback feature selected. We can go ahead and say what kind of rollback we want to do. Our options are rollback just the title and which text fields, or rollback all of the fields of those work items and how they were in the baseline. For the version management, we have the ability to easily compare baselines in the baseline module in order to give us a set of work items to compare our original baseline. Let's take an updated baseline of these work items, and here we will go to create baseline and say yes to creating a baseline with the latest version of all these work items. And here we can simply update the name to updated baseline for iteration 1, and we can hit on. Next, we can save this newly created baseline. Once this baseline is saved, we can now compare this newly created baseline with its previous version. Here we can go to the Compare tab. The Compare tab is capturing all of the changes that are made to the work item. Now here we can go to Compare to drop down, and we can select the baseline that we created earlier from the baselining folder. The comparison is going to indicate the changes in certain work items by invoking the Compare status to change. Let's take a look at how these work items compare to their current versions. We can identify the individual changes of these work items by going into the Smart View window. The changes are recorded in a red line view for these individual work items, and this practice could be done for each of the work items on which the change occurred. And here we can see the description of this user story is updated as the users are updating the work items and the changes are recorded within the baseline. It could be very tedious to use the Compare tab and try to keep track of all the individual changes. Instead, you can simply click and generate difference report. Changes made to the highlighted field in the Smart View window will appear on the difference report. Here we can see that only a few things have changed in the work items that are present in both our original baseline as well as our updated baseline. So that's how we use baselines to compare to other baselines and again to some version management. But let's talk about reusing baseline in another project so that we don't always have to start a new project from scratch. And we do this by using the Copy Work Items tool. We are currently on our updated baseline for iteration 1, and we are going to copy these work items to another project. The first thing we have to do is to select our target team project. Since we are sending baselines to a new project, we think about this as our target project that we are copying these work items to. While selecting a target project, the only thing users have to be careful about is the process template should be the same for both the source project and the target project. Now, one word of advice is if you're going to be using baselines across multiple projects, it might be helpful to create a library project of the same type. So if you are using Agile baselines, you have an Agile library for you to store baselines for when you want to use these work items. The next thing that you have to do is to select the work items that you have, and you want to take it with you from this baseline to the target project. And lastly, you can apply some prefix and postfix operation, which allows the work item to arrive in that baseline exactly how you want them to be. Users can even select what area, path, and iteration path they want to see these work items to be copied to. The newly created work items can also be linked with the source work item, which will allow you to link the baseline from the project in which they were sent from. And finally, you can go ahead and create a baseline of the copied work items, and you can even have it open in the target team project. Once you copy this baseline, before hitting the copy option, make sure to rename your baseline to a valid name. Once you have done that, you can hit on copy and a copy of work items will be created. If the users wanted to bring in a baseline that they already have created for reuse, they can simply use the reuse tool. And the difference here is that the copy work item tool allows you to take the baselines from projects and send them to a new projects. And the reuse tool will allow you to grab baselines that you have already got in a project and bring them into your current project. The reuse tool, if you open it up, has the same features as the copy work item tool. Users have the ability to select their source project collection as well as the source project. When you come into the input type, you get to select which baseline you would like to pull from that project. And then you have the associated prefix and postfix operation that you can again apply to the baseline as it comes in. This brings us to the end of our video. Thank you for watching.